Welcome to the Coast to Coast podcast, brought to you by Play Picks and the Lines. Coming to you from the West Coast, Josh Lander, joined by my guy Nate Weitzer on the East Coast. We got a big fat Wednesday night slate here for you guys. In this one, we are taking a look at the Lake Show hosting the Utah Jazz, who do have Rudy back, look to be back to full strength and ready to keep going on tear, the little 6-game win streak. We'll take a look at some of the best value we can find in this one. Nate does have his great article up on playpicks.com as well with some best bets and player props in there for you. And like and subscribe to that page so you can check out those other couple videos we have up for you today, including that player props video that we are looking to climb back above 500 as we remain 500 on the week so far with those. So we'll look to get back into the right winning column with you guys. And as always, though, if you do still need a FanDuel or DraftKings account, head to fdpicks.com or dkpicks.com and find those listings in your area, such as what we've got for tonight. Nate, let's get into it.
Yeah, this game, which is the nightcap, is not seeing much movement right now. Jazz minus 5.5 at Crypto Arena against the Lakers. That total sitting at 226.5. And not really budging. Anthony Davis is probable, I would say. LeBron James, more questionable just because of the nature of his knee injury and the fact that we're about to hit the All-Star break for the Lakers here. He might decide to sit it out and just try to get right. That's just speculation, though, of course. We'll address this game as if LeBron's playing. First, there are 10 other games here on the last full night before the break. The Hawks are -6 at the Magic. Pistons +12 at Celtics. The other game we break down, we have Wizards +1 at Pacers. Also a total of 226.5, and we like the over here. The Nets are +4.5 at the Knicks. That's in New York, of course, so Kyrie Irving not eligible to play. Kings +5 at Bulls, nice 232 total. The Raptors are -1 at the Wolves. That total's down to 228, seems exploitable for another over. Spurs -7.5 at Thunder. Blazers +12 at the Grizzlies, despite the expected absence of Ja Morant. Rockets are +16 at Suns, and the Nuggets +5.5 at the Warriors. The Jazz and Lakers here, two teams that have been sputtering, but as you mentioned, Utah, I believe, has won 7 straight now. The first win without Donnie Mitchell.
All right.
And then the last win with Gobert back in the lineup. Really playing excellent defense even before Gobert got back. They sort of figured out how to patch that up. They had been struggling without him, but there is still a pretty significant gap in terms of 6 points per 100 possessions when Gobert is active, giving up 6 fewer points. In their last 7 with Gobert active, they're allowing 102.7 points per game. That is certainly not a lot. And the Lakers, I'm looking at trending's much slower in terms of pace. As they've finally at the midseason point started to figure out how to kind of rein in Russell Westbrook a little bit and play some more controlled offense. The results have been pretty steady in terms of them averaging about 109 points per game. I'm really looking at their last 5 home games as a good sample for what we can expect tonight, since that stretch actually started against Utah. And they're averaging 109. Again, they're 12th in defensive rating, 5th in field goal defense, down to 20th in pace. Anthony Davis has been back for the last 3 of those games. The first one went way under against Portland, neither team getting to 100 points. And then they went over in an overtime game against the Knicks and then gave up, 1 million points to the Bucks, who own them at the moment. The Lakers 13-8 to the over now as underdogs, but only by an average of 0.3 points per game. Certainly, if LeBron sits, you can expect less offense from them. I don't think that their offense is going to be gangbusters anyway against a Jazz team that's really pulling it together lately. During this stretch, they just held the Warriors to 85 points. Very impressive. They've gone under in 5 of their last 6. And I'm really looking at the recent history between these teams. They've gone under in 3 of the last 4, with the exception coming when there was no Donnie Mitchell or Gobert, and no LeBron or Anthony Davis. So it's just a complete toss out in that game. If you exclude that one game, in 9 meetings since 2019, these teams average about 207 as a combined total. And if the Lakers are going to play more of that style they did when AD helped them win a championship, that consistent, slow-paced, grinding defensive style. He's still playing very well defensively, but not as well offensively since coming back from his knee injury. I definitely feel good about the under here, and that is really the thing I feel best betting about in this game here with the total at 226.
Yeah, I can feel that. I like the total that you're talking about. I like taking that over in this one, or I'm sorry, I like taking that under as well in this one. A few things, scare me a little bit about it enough that I actually kind of like the Jazz more here in terms of their spread. It is up to about 5.5 at this point. Started at 4.5, which just sounded better for some reason. That 5.5 getting up to 6 sounds scarier to me, but that's neither here nor there. I think that's still a spread that's very coverable for them in a game that I think, look, they've already, like you said, sort of put it together in their last 6. By the way, they have won 6 in a row, not 7. But either way, we digress. They won 6 in a row, 5-1 against the spread in that time. Gobert came back for the last one against the Rockets, which was probably on purpose as they eyed that game to get him in there, as he only needed about 22 minutes to put up 14 points and 7 boards. In a game that they didn't really need to play their starters too many minutes anyway, as they blew out the Rockets. And so, other than that game, though, regardless, in their last 6, with that game included, Donnie Mitchell definitely stepped back up in the offensive side of things, but he's still, averaging 25, 6.5 boards and 5.5 assists, shooting 43% from 3. I mean, we've talked about how good he's been since he came back from injury in the last 6 to 7 games or so. In that time, back up to second in offensive rating are the Jazz, third in defensive rating, as you mentioned, figuring it out, because before that they were down to about 24th in defensive rating over the course of that giant losing streak that they incurred without both Donnie Mitchell and Rudy Gobert. But on the defensive side of the ball, most notably, no Rudy Gobert, which, as we know, just leads to their defensive rating skyrocketing. Without him, even in those last 6, they've been the second best rebounding team percentage-wise, and the 4th best shooting team. They've actually been playing at the 5th slowest pace, but so efficient on offense that they've been able to get theirs. But that's why in their last 6, they are 1-5 to the over, giving up 99 points a game in that time frame. The one place that you've been able to score on them, unsurprisingly, in their last 6, where they only had Rudy for 1 game, is down low. Rudy's back. That's not going to be the case anymore. Houston, I believe, had roughly 28 points in the paint in their game against the Jazz when Rudy came back, and Rudy only played 22 minutes of those. So that was a big, a stark contrast to what was happening before, where it was really just them trying to guard the 3-point line as best they can, knowing that, their backup center in Hassan Whiteside is not Rudy Gobert, and it can't play the same amount of minutes, et cetera. So I think this is a game where we come back to, the Lakers at home, they rely on points in the paint. They're not a very good 3-point shooting team. They'll be without Carmelo tonight as well, another 3-point shooter for them. So I think you look at them trying to score in the paint tonight. That's not going to be the case against Rudy Gobert. And Anthony Davis, who does not have a great history when he has to play against the Jazz, and Rudy Gobert has been really bad in his last 3. We're still waiting for him to sort of come back. He came out hot in his first 3 or so games coming back from injury, but in his last 3, he's down to 18 points a game in that time frame, and less than 10 boards and a few assists. So, he's not really back into form yet. Despite playing about 38 minutes a game, he's still, like I said, just putting up those 18 points and 7 boards. The thing that you also like to see if you want to take that under here, just sort of pivoting to that, because to be clear, I feel just fine taking that 5.5 with the Jazz. I do think that they're a much better team right now, and the Lakers have not shown me anything against a good team as of late, even in the games that they've been hanging around and seem, that Warriors game was a nice little comeback for them until the Warriors took off in the 4th quarter against them, losing to the Blazers, getting smacked by the Bucks, needing overtime and a huge comeback to beat the Knicks. Everything just tells me, like, this team is telling us how good they are, and it's not that good. And then as far as the total, the one place that AD has helped them since he's come back is their defensive rating drops when he's in it, like noticeably, right? With this season without him, they're at almost 115 defensive rating. And with him this season, they're at about 106 defensive rating. So, they give up 9 fewer points per 100 possessions with AD on the floor. But they've also, been struggling a ton on offense enough in a way that I think, we see a lot more of that regression back to the mean for them in terms of their points per game, their ability to put up points against a team that's going to be able to stifle exactly what they want to do, which is get second chance points and rebounds and points in the paint. And that's not going to happen tonight against Rudy Gobert and company.
Yeah, and you would hope that the Lakers can continue guarding the 3-point line well, which they've done at home recently. They've been league average overall in their last 15, but at home, fifth in 3-point defense, along with fifth in field goal percentage, despite allowing the fifth most 3-point attempts. So that definitely spells well for an under here against a Jazz team that does depend on points, the number one highest percentage of points off threes on the road. Scoring, and they're 11-8 to the under as a road favorite here, 25-19 to the under outside of their division. So Utah's trends definitely indicate more of an under. It's the Lakers that you have to kind of sell yourself on things, shifting, getting ahead of that curve, which is Anthony Davis being back, the Lakers being desperate to find some sort of formula for success. And I think at this point, they know they're not just going to run and gun and win these 120-point shootouts. That's not how they won a championship. That's not how this team is built by any means. They have to slow it down, and they have to play through AD on both ends right now. And you mentioned just how their offensive rating dips or their scoring dips. It just takes so much time in terms of pace for AD to establish his offense. There's so much jockeying for position and getting the ball and then squaring up and doing what he does. And if he faces a team that can guard him without fouling, we're probably not looking at a huge output from AD at this point because he's scoring such a high percentage from the line. So, I agree with you. I like Utah to win this game. As a bit more of a conservative bettor, I would probably consider, -1.5 along with an under 230 and just using the teaser there to make sure that you get some hedge against a close game for the Lakers. But I fully expect the Jazz to win this one and the Lakers to do some soul searching over the break.
Yeah, and I would go ahead and consider the money line under parlay because I'm still not really scared of that total. I do like it up a little bit. I'm equally as comfortable, to be honest with you, with both these numbers in a way that I might, I think I'll just go ahead and take the juice on a parlay. You talk about the need for the Lakers to score free throws as well. Jazz are the number one team on the road in terms of limiting their opponent's free throw attempts, and they actually are 7th in their free throw attempts rate on the road as well. I think they score in the top 10 in terms of percentage points from the free throw line. I think they win that battle big time tonight, which is a huge reason that the Lakers, who led the league in free throw disparity in the year that they won the championships in terms of way more free throw attempts than their opponent, that's not the case anymore this season, relying way too much, as we talk about, on the three-pointers of guys like Monk, Carmelo Anthony, and I guess Russell Westbrook as well. So I think there's a lot of reason to like the under tonight. That the under has gone up, as you mentioned, in their last 6 games. These teams have combined for an average of about 206 points per game. So they just limit what the other one does too well. And I think it's going to be the case tonight with a Jazz victory on the road. So that is all the time we have for you in this one. Make sure to like and subscribe to that page and check out those other couple videos we have for you on this big 11-game slate tonight. And until we see you next, happy betting.